Hello and welcome to another episode of Music and Words Unite. I am your host, Troy, and with me, I'm bringing in a good friend of mine, Chris. Hi, Chris.
What's up, buddy?
And Chris is so for those who have been watching our show, a friend Mark and I have been running this show, and Mark, we're still meeting once, twice a week, and Chris is a special guest that I'm bringing in, and who knows, maybe he'll like it and he'll come on more.
Good chance.
But but anyway, Chris is infamous in my life for the person that got me into collecting vinyl records. So yeah, so he got me down the dark rabbit holes. I'm just kidding. I do love the hobby. So
That's right.
anyway, and we're going to be talking about a vinyl record I have called, let's see if I can pronounce it correctly, in Cauda Venenum. Do you know how to say that word properly? I
Venenum,
don't
I
know.
think. I think it's
Venenum,
Venenum.
right, right. And I think it means something like poison in the tail or something like that. I think that's
Something like that.
something,
I would check,
translation.
we have all of human history, like
Yeah.
in these nightmare rectangles. We could ask that.
Yeah.
We could ask
There it is.
AI.
It's literally right on Wikipedia. There you go.
This
Latin
is
for poison in the
literally,
tail.
there's going to be someone who breaks through this wall and
Yeah.
goes, actually, there's been a whole lot of actually lately. I'm telling you. By the way,
So,
if you say actually a whole lot and you talk about music, your friends probably don't appreciate
oh, fair enough. All
it.
right. So Chris, a little bit about Chris, at least from my perspective, and then we'll get into the album. So one of the reasons I brought him on is he's somebody I respect a lot when it comes to his musical taste, and he's a musician in the brass world, right? And jazz and big band, and I've been over his house, so we've sat there and listened to records all night, all kinds of music, right? So I figured I can throw anything at Chris, and I bet you he would, if I think it's worth throwing at him. And I bet you he would listen to it and give me his honest review. And I'm going to do the same. We're going to be reviewing and somewhat reacting because we've both never heard this record. So we're not going to listen to it live and react to it,
Yeah,
but we're
we've already
giving,
we've
yeah.
already listened to it. Like,
Yes. Right. We've listened to it. I've listened, I think we've listened to it a couple times, both of us.
yeah.
So it's not like just one listen.
Hmm.
And so Chris gave me a record. That's going to be a different episode we'll do. But for this episode, this is a record I gave Chris. And in fact, I've never heard it. He never heard it. And I bought it because I was on a little bit of a binge where, you know how back in the day, Chris, when we used to probably collect cassettes and CDs and those things back in the day, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And you would go to the record store and you'd buy a record that you never heard before
The
or
best.
a CD, right? It's sort of, back
Because the
then.
jacket's cool.
Right,
Jacket's cool.
exactly.
Jacket's
And
cool.
how cool is this freaking
It's pretty
jacket?
darn
You
cool.
know,
It's pretty darn cool. It's pretty darn cool.
So anyway, so that's one reason. The second reason is my experience with Opeth is I've listened to some older Opeth music. In fact, there's a couple albums. One, Ghost Reveries and Watershed are two albums I really like by Opeth, but I haven't listened to any of their more modern records. So I said, you know what? I kind of want to get into the newer Opeth because I like a lot of prog music. And the new Opeth is very much like a mix of classic prog and metal, basically. So yeah, so that's why I gave it to you, Chris, because it's something I just purchased without
Oh,
listening to it.
that's the way to do it. I mean,
There you go.
I think that's the coolest thing about music. It's like people can enjoy it. You can enjoy it at like any level. Like I'm not a fan of like. Are we allowed to swear on this episode?
Yeah,
Just
you can
well,
swear.
no.
Yeah,
I just want to check, just in case. It's
sure,
come on. It's
sure.
like me and media.
Right. I
No,
got
but
you. Yeah.
I'm never a fan of someone like shits on a band or
Hmm.
like hey, here's something I liked versus didn't like. I think that that's fair. And if this appealed to me, this didn't appeal to me. I heard this, I didn't hear that, and we've talked. You've been over to the house, and full disclosure, like I was in the room listening to it, like fully live,
Hmm.
and this isn't walking around with like buds on outside. So for your listeners, like
Right.
fortunate enough to have a space in my home that is set up just for listening with some pretty above average equipment and
Yeah.
and it's I don't want to say it's unforgiving, but if a record, if an album period is not engineered well, it can highlight some of those inconsistencies or challenges. I'll talk about.
Sure.
I am going to get a little bit of that in there.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Fair
But
enough.
no, thanks for sending it to me. How you want to do it? You just want to go track for track? Hey, talk about it.
Yeah, I just want to just read a little bit of this. So
Sure, sure,
just
sure.
the intro to the
Yep,
album,
yep.
basically. So it's the 13th studio album by Opeth. Have you ever heard this band before, Chris? I'm just
It's
curious.
been sprinkled in. It's kind of like
Okay.
You go to the buffet and you get a little something on there.
Okay.
It's not an all you can
Gotcha.
eat. It's not an all you can eat band, but what I had
I
heard,
see.
it depended on when,
Hmm.
tell you like, oh, that's the third track off of some
Right.
the catalog. I would be like, oh yeah, I remember that. No, it was
Okay.
cool. I was like, okay, I could dig on that. Rarely will I
Okay.
turn that off, get it away from me.
Right. Okay.
I almost never say that. I almost never.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, yeah, so I don't want to get into history of Opeth, but basically this is a more recent, 6 years ago, obviously this
Yep.
album came out. They re-released the vinyl a couple years ago in a newer pressing, which is called the Connoisseur Edition. And I read
Mm.
the notes on this edition, and it's basically kind of remastered for vinyl from scratch. Like a lot of times I think these records from the labels get just pressed on vinyl because they just got to press them on vinyl. But like that doesn't mean that someone sat down and meticulously said, "I need this thing to sound the absolute best on vinyl specifically,"
See,
versus the other.
if you brought that down, I would be interested to hear it because I'm going to bring up a
Yes.
couple things. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So so this is like extra special vinyl release, basically master. So
this is
yes.
I take full credit for the addiction.
There you go. And I gotta say, I listened to it. So we're gonna get into the album review now, but I listened to this on vinyl first with my headphones in my room, and then I listened to it on streaming in my car and things like that, right? And at home, and it is a little bit night and day, I would say. The streaming
Mhm.
sounds good, but it doesn't sound like this vinyl
It's
record.
I was going to say it's probably not as good.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we talk about the album before we get into track by track, Chris?
Mhm, mhm.
What did you think of the album as a whole? We'll start there.
Fine. Okay.
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 Okay. Okay.
It wasn't bad. It was like, okay.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I anytime anything like this, I try to see how often do I find myself like bobbing the head. And I even
Hmm.
call out, I'm like bobbing the head here. Like, okay, feeling this, feeling this. And we've had conversations about prog. We've had just, music in general. It's like, what's
Hmm.
the idea that's coming across? And are there too many ideas in this amount of time?
Hmm.
I always am curious about like, when the artists come together, like, ooh, I got another idea. And you and I know, group writing music isn't always good. And so it's like, I'm not saying
Hmm.
this, no, there was a lot of like highlights in this that I was feeling,
Okay.
but like, no, I wasn't upset that you sent it to me. And I think, I would say that immediately if I told you that,
Sure.
I
You're a
could
pretty
tell
honest
there are
guy from
multiple
yeah.
moments I was
Yeah.
like, Troy likes this part. And I'll even mention, yeah, Troy likes this part. Um,
Okay.
no,
All
but
right.
I was digging it. I
Yeah.
was even talking to my wife about it earlier. She's like, what did you have on earlier? Because she heard it. I was like, oh yeah, it's his Opeth album. Troy and I are going to talk about. She's like, seemed okay. It's like, yeah, it wasn't bad. I was like, yeah. But
All right. Yeah.
remember, I'm not, like I said, I never bag on things. I'll give it like
Hmm.
the impression, um,
Sure.
and the recording makes a difference at times. So,
Sure. So
um,
my overall reaction to this album was, I'm gonna be honest with you, Chris.
mhm. If you say
I
it to your wife, I'm gonna slap you.
I was pleasantly surprised. How about that?
Pleasantly surprised, but that's like when I'm like, fine, okay. It's like it's not negative. It's like this was okay. This is like, yeah, all right. Like I didn't feel
So
it was a waste of my
yeah,
time to listen to it.
my notes
I'm not
go,
going to run out and I won't go out and
okay.
buy that version.
So this is an album where I put it on and I was getting through song by song by song, right? And
Uh,
I was like, when is the bad song gonna come on?
okay.
That's
I
literally
didn't have this as
so,
a bad, I like,
okay.
when I was writing it, I was like, I like this one a little bit more than than the
Oh,
most recent.
gotcha.
That's kind of like, I was like, oh, I'm feeling this. Like, oh, there's this. Um, some of the tracks I was like, I even wrote down, I was like, my attention is waning.
I
Like,
see.
I'm just like not feeling this. It's not keeping me here. Other times I'm like, because I lock in at the start of each track, and it's like, all right, like not keep my attention, but I'm just like, where am I going to go with this, and do I find myself
Sure.
locked in? So,
So basically, Chris, I mean, my review is like my honest to
yeah,
goodness review
yeah,
is like if I had to give it out of 10, I give it like an 8.5. It's an album that I would listen to repeatedly, basically.
okay.
I really
That's all. It's
yeah.
almost an all you can eat album for you.
Pretty much. There's only one track on here that I was
Don't
like,
say which one it is yet.
all right.
Don't
I
tell me.
was like,
I
I
want
probably
I want to track
skipped
the
this.
track, man. Look at track. I
All
put my
right.
notes down for you,
All
baby.
right, all right, all
Come on.
right. What I'm saying is that's a 9 out of 10 songs for
I
me
was
that
gonna
I would
say
re-listen
you're
to.
feeling that. Okay.
Yes, yeah. And in fact, so much so that I sat down with my wife tonight. I said, check out these two songs because she doesn't listen
Check
to
these two.
she doesn't listen to any of this kind of music unless I pretty much force it on her.
That's fair.
So she listened to it and she was like, I won't say which song, right?
Mm,
There's two.
don't tell me which
And
ones.
one of them caused like a 20-minute existential
Discussion.
discussion about life, about all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, this is what music is supposed to be about. Anyway, should be. So when it comes to lyrics, right? So
Okay.
anyway, so let's go track by track. So the first
Okay.
track is
Garden.
an instrumental.
Garden.
So
Yep.
what did you think of this one?
I thought it was just here are the couple notes I wrote down for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting intro with the vocals. I thought that the electronic like low end, like I was like, I kind of like perked up, like, ooh, like I literally was like, what am I getting into? The sword.
Right.
So sword fans, no, I'm just a joke.
Yeah.
But then it was like, the chimes, the bells. I even wrote, is that a baby? And I actually just with like that electronic, that lower end part, I was like, is this a Stranger Things vibe? So that was
Okay.
kind of how I was feeling. It's like, okay, it got me interested of what was coming up. I was
I
like,
see.
are we gonna get some of this like not mysterious, but like there's kind of like interesting play with like this and some interesting harmony. Ooh, there's some like I was like, I'm like, oh, so I was kind of like, what do you got? That's where I
Yeah.
was at for track one.
I would say, okay.
Yeah.
Same for me. I gotta be honest with you. My review of track one is basically the same. It's a really cool intro to the album. It sets the
Yep.
mood. It kind of makes you curious, and you're like, all right, what's next? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then let's get into the next song, which is Dignity.
Dignity. Yep.
Um, so yeah, maybe we'll go back and forth
Yeah,
on
I was
who
gonna
goes
say if you
first.
want to, yeah, do that. Do that. You go.
Okay, all right. So Dignity. First I'll talk about the music.
Okay.
In fact, I'm gonna play a clip from it. So these
Oh, here
shows
we
I
go.
like to play clips because it makes it a little more fun than just listening to people
No
talk.
problem. Go for it.
So I'm gonna play a clip from it real quick. So if you're
Are we
looking
gonna
at
get
this,
pulled? You're gonna get pulled down. I mean, digital rights
well,
and all that.
well,
Nah,
I can always chop it if I need to, so it's no
I would.
problem.
I wouldn't play. I wouldn't play it. I would just talk about it.
All right.
I don't want us to get pulled. Don't you get pulled down? Come on.
No, no, no. It's all
All right.
right. It's all right. I'm
No,
only
no,
gonna
no. Go
play a
ahead. Go
clip,
ahead.
right? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna skip to when it comes in. Check this part out.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. If this was like this song was literally made for my musical taste, is what I'm trying to
I
say.
well, we'll get. You're going first. You're going first.
Okay. Okay. I heard this song and I was like, is this going to be like the best record I've heard in a long time when I put it on? So I was like, my instant reaction, I was like, okay, I'm totally in now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I was totally in. And then I was reading the lyrics and it seems like I read it was inspired by the Handmaid's
Handmaid's
Tale.
Tale. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's about this kind of
Yep.
oppression of
Yep.
women and
Yep.
things
Yep.
like
Yep.
that. So yeah. So yeah, overall, I mean, I love this song. I don't have a ton to say except it has a very Opeth style, which is sometimes they go quiet, sometimes they go loud. They kind of weave in and out of that thing, and it's just a perfect staple of that. So Chris, what did you think about this song?
Well, right at the hit, I wrote, there it is, like cool bass and guitar moment. I even wrote,
Mhm.
sounds like Troy would like this. That's one part. And early on, when they're putting in like some of the recording, you know what I actually wrote? I know about the honor of God, Mary Jane. Because there you go. That's why I saved that for you on a podcast. I actually wrote that. It's got that vibe.
Okay.
Solo was digging it. I noticed the
Yeah.
bass line. And
Hmm.
this is one of the first I said recording note, the vocals. And so people know I was on paid title streaming. So
Okay.
high quality title paid streaming on above average equipment.
Okay.
Vocals were very sounded a little muffled, and this
Okay.
was a pattern through the whole thing.
I see.
When it was like heavy and cool, and then we get like acoustic portion, then I'm like, oh, I'm English version, cool, some nice harmony, this starting to build. And I even noticed back to heavy feels like the third idea. I said, I'm bobbing my head to this part. That's basically what you were just playing there. It's like,
Oh, I see.
I'm
Right.
digging this, but I thought the vocal mix could have been a little bit more forward.
Okay.
Had that Dream Theater feel, because when it comes to lyrics, I don't read the lyrics. I just want to listen and see if I can get it. It's hard for me to hear with the mix that I got.
Oh, I see.
So that was
Gotcha.
like I got like zero comment on almost any of it. I was like singing with like the guitar melody. I was like, I was like, okay, darkness opens the door, got it. Same idea. Next phrase, I even said, meh, this is kind of my least favorite part. And then back to acoustic at the end, the laughter at the end. I was like, this is a decent song. Feels
Mm-hmm.
like like probably one extra idea.
Okay.
Like the do and but you figure track two right after thing, we got to come out. But it's kind of like the idea, like the Coco Chanel, like look in the mirror, take one thing off. It's like
Mm-hmm.
one less idea. I think this song would have been like I dug it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like okay. It's like one extra idea was in there. That's what I took
All
away.
right. Fair
I was
enough.
bobbing my head in this one.
Right.
Bobbing my head.
Okay. Cool.
I was
Cool.
bobbing my head
So
on this one.
for me, this summary of this song, which is in English, is called Dignity. I love this song.
Oh, I knew you
I
would. I was like
think it's a
Troy.
great
Troy would.
song.
I even realized that Troy would dig this one.
And in fact, like Chris, it just might be
Uh-oh.
my so many years of
Mm-hmm.
listening to progressive music
Uh-huh.
that like I'm just conditioned to
Yes.
listen to 50 ideas on a song. Like it
I know.
doesn't
I
bother me
know.
at all.
But it's land the
So,
plane. It's I was talking to a friend of
right,
mine about this. It's like
right,
there's people out there that don't like the Ramones
right,
because
right.
it's just right down Main Street, boom, here you go. But there's something to be said for here's the idea and there it is. There's something to be said for, you know,
Mhm.
some of the early Dave Grohl comments from Foo Fighters where it's like, trying to make some rock and roll songs, cool stuff you'll remember, you know.
Sure.
Does everything does not have to be a, side D is when we get to the point,
Mm.
of a double
Okay.
LP. And but we know that that's the genre you and I have talked about it.
Sure. So my last statement on this song, and on that we can move on.
Mhm.
You can go first on the next one.
Okay.
Is I just personally, one of the things about doing this channel
Mhm.
in general and this kind of hobby is
Mhm.
that I love we can go from we're going to review a Matthew Sweet album, right? Next.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that I can listen to that album. I can
Mhm.
listen to this. I can listen to a Foo Fighters. I can listen to, and everything has its place.
Yeah,
So what I mean is, I guess is
absolutely.
what I mean is like, whatever the genre is, I try to appreciate it for what it is.
Always.
You know what I mean? That's basically what I'm saying.
Always.
You know, gotcha. All right. So why don't we talk about the next song, which is
Is that
Heart and Hand?
heart and hand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that me?
Yes. You could go first.
Okay. Okay. Um, like from the voices and the guitar, I had the head bob going early with like the interesting time signature. I was like, okay, feeling this. I was like, neat time signature, like rhythm of the vocals with the riff. I was like, I'm digging this. And when I wrote down, I was like, you know what? When I think about like the mix and like the approach that Killswitch Engage takes to some of the stuff like this, I was like, that kind of treatment here with like the vocal and like the heavy part, man,
Yeah.
that could be cool. Um,
Mm.
like the guitar work, like with the percussion, I said it's neat. Troy really likes this part, I bet. Uh, Another note
Yeah.
on, I was like, could use a little bit more on the vocal mix.
Okay.
Like I said, I did the English version.
I see.
Dissonance, cool solo, bridge is cool. Echoes on the vocal I could get, but I could use more. I found myself like the vocal mix was bugging me.
Mm.
I said instrumental part, okay, it's not holding me. Quieter acoustic, about three quarters through. It's like trend seems to be like heavy section, softer section. I get it.
Hmm.
This is nice. Wondering, I even said, I was like, wondering if it's the group approach about, ooh, and then we could do this. Not that's good, not that it's bad. It's just like, okay.
Hmm.
Um, the challenge is that I don't always hear the idea carry through. Think about like what you and I have talked about with like Fade to Black, where it's like,
I
okay,
see.
it starts here and then you get here, but like, okay, this is clearly all the same song, and I am not a prog like genius. I am not well read. That's not my meat. You know that.
Sure, sure.
But it's like, oh, I'm jumping ahead, but when you get like kind of like Spanish Sancho guitar, and I don't get it
Hmm.
all, the idea is not even there anymore.
Mm.
What are we doing?
Right.
That's what I mean. So I'm like, okay, does this dish mix together? So the build, like I wasn't as interested at this as I was at the start. And I even said it's fine, it's good. And then with the full acoustic to land the plane was all right. But
Okay.
I was definitely more engaged in the first part of the song.
Okay. Fair
I took
enough.
this seriously. You wanted me to write some stuff down. This is like
No,
this
this
is
is why
like
I brought you on here.
as I was locked in, I
You
was
know
literally
what?
writing as I was listening.
If I could get someone on here that would sit there and just claim that this is the greatest thing that I'd ever heard with me anytime, right?
And hype.
And
I mean,
yeah, we could
we can
totally
pump tires. I mean,
no, no, what I'm saying is I like the fact that I intentionally gave this to you because this isn't something that you listen to all the time,
it's
right?
not my meat.
Right,
I would
exactly.
rock it, but I mean, you know how
Yeah,
much Dream Theater
right,
you know
right.
how much Dream Theater I listen to.
There
You
you
know how
go.
much,
So that's true. That's true.
LT,
Yeah,
you know how much I listen to that. And
that's true.
and I jam on it. And it's like, no, it's just
So So my thoughts about this song. Another song I loved. I give this song. I would listen to it as many times as it comes on, pretty
okay.
much.
Okay.
I wanted to play one quick clip from this one.
Hey, okay. Yeah, cool. I wrote cool solo.
Yeah, it's killer solo. Yeah.
It's feral.
I mean, that's killer. This is a great riff, great solo.
When
What
I
can
get
you
the
ask for?
bridge that was after that, like
Hmm.
that idea, I was like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's-
I was digging that part. I was digging that part. Cool.
And I took some notes about the lyrics actually, because I know you said you didn't read them.
I wanted to
That's okay if you didn't read them.
it's just like with me, like sometimes I would do that when I was younger on some albums. I would do that when it was like all you can eat. But
Mm,
I thought about reading that, but I thought it would take away from my ability to get my thoughts down in real time. So I was like,
gotcha. No, no, no.
if
Yeah.
I can't hear the vocals and pick it out, I'm not gonna. You do more lyrics than I do. So go ahead.
So, a song seems like a critique on modern society,
Okay.
disillusionment, addiction, like literal or digital, um, and the failure of societal institutions,
Hmm.
eroding empathy, and the loss of innocence. That's kind of what I wrote down. That is a bit of a theme throughout the album, actually, which is erosion of things, whether that's relationships, whether that's in this song talking about potentially society. Um, there's some themes about family in this album. Um, and yeah, so this song, I really like the lyrics. I love the music. So we have two, and you like some of the song, right? So you seem to give it a fairly positive review. I'm giving it a glowing review. So between the two of us, it seems like this is one of the one of the better songs on the album, probably, considering we both had something nice to say about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll go first on the next one. The next
Next is
one,
that next to kin?
yes, next of kin. I have a small clip on this one.
Okay.
There you go. Small clip of some music.
But is
That
that
gives you,
25% in? Yeah.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
That gives you a little bit of feel of like the
Hmm.
soft, loud thing, and then of course the song gets loud again. So if you like, to me, this style is like this guy, Michael Ackerfeld, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He is a big, speaking of vinyl, he's a big vinyl collector, this guy. And he has like YouTube episodes where it's not his channel, but he goes on other people's channels and he talks about vinyl and records and all that kind of stuff. He's like a total collector, the whole thing. And through those channels, through his recommendations, I've actually discovered a lot of 70s music that I had never heard before. In fact, one album we recently reviewed on this channel, an album by a band called Renaissance,
Mhm.
and it's the album is called A Song for All Seasons.
Okay.
And that title track from that album reminds me quite a bit of elements of this album, actually.
Okay. Okay.
where there's like a lot of epic, grandiose
Hmm.
kind of music, right? And then mixed with quiet parts. That's
Yep.
how that record is. So I
Yep.
say, oh wow, this guy is like 70s prog, 70s folk prog,
Hmm.
prog rock. It sounds like he's been listening to nothing but this stuff for a long time, and it's totally like weaved in his style of music, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, so my review of this one, another song I really, really liked. Again, like I said, like the first run of songs,
Right
I
now,
was
you're at like 10 out of 10. I love every single one. You haven't said anything
pretty
like,
much.
oh my
I'll
God, the next course was great. And then he came out, he put butter on it. It was great. I'm just messing.
I'll let you know when I get to. There is a song in particular
Okay.
that I was like, I
Okay.
probably have to listen to a couple more times to give it
Okay.
a full review
All
because
right. All
sometimes,
right.
especially with prog music, sometimes it doesn't hit you right away. Sometimes you don't get it. And then like after a few listens, you're like, oh, now I get it. And that happens even with my favorite band, Dream Theater. Sometimes I listen to a song and I'm like, you know, it's cool. And then like
Then
the
you got to go
fourth or
back
fifth,
to it.
then I'm like, oh, now it's like the best song I've ever heard.
That's like
It's
the
like
best thing ever.
right. So it has that. So I'm going, and then you go next, Chris. But I would say there's some really interesting lyrics in this song, actually.
Okay.
The theme of this song, and he talks about um it's really about loneliness in the digital age,
Okay.
basically. And there's lyrics even about his kids or someone talking about kids. Maybe it's not personally his kids.
Hmm.
Um, it says, the company, this is a Swedish translation I'm giving actually.
Right. Right. Right.
The company of the algorithm comforts, and the daughter rarely calls now. How do you describe a life without purpose? And like, damn, that's some real shit.
Deep. That's deep.
So, so, like, I was really, really feeling the lyrical themes in this
Uh
album.
huh. Uh huh.
A lot of it's questioning. A lot of it's not like this is bad, this is good. A lot of
I
it's
couldn't
like,
tell you one lyric from this entire thing.
gotcha. But a lot of
I'm
it's,
just being
yeah.
honest. I was
No,
like, I
no,
can
I
tell you
got you.
one lyric.
I got you. So basically, Chris, I mean, I connected with this song musically
Okay.
and the lyrics. So yeah, why don't you give your review of the song?
Okay. Almost the polar opposite on this one.
Okay, fair enough.
I was like,
Okay.
I was like, this is interesting vocals into that like heavy riff at the beginning. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
stay here, slower, heavy tempo. And I was like, okay. And this is a quote I wrote. How many different ideas are going to be in this one? So that's
Okay.
the frame of mind I was at.
Okay.
From a mix standpoint, I said vocals again are way too far back, bass is way too up.
Mm.
Singing with the riff again, I'm not even catching all lyrics.
Mm.
So
Okay.
this is everything leading up to that acoustic part about a quarter in, because when I was like, where are you going to play? I was like,
Right.
not exactly feeling this. Eventually,
Mm-hmm.
vocals, okay, vocal matching the riff and the rhythm. I was like, it's all right. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, yeah. I wasn't horns, wasn't anything. The guitar solo on top of the heavy is cool. Here's your
Mm-hmm.
quote. This song is not holding my attention.
Okay. Fair
So
enough. I mean,
the strings were kind of cool, like that epic idea.
yeah.
I even wrote, okay, get on with it. I hope the next song holds me. Roads at the end. Those were my only notes for next of kin.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
like I was,
So,
and I remember this is a push play. I'm a drop the needle and give it to me from a pacing and an interesting standpoint. And song to song, what's it going to be like? And obviously the one bridge that we'll get, at the end, for
mm-hmm.
all things. Um, but no, I was like, okay, like that's one of the few. I mean, I didn't feel like that for everything, but for this one, I was just like,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
mix is tough. Mix is tough for me.
Mm-hmm.
When and you've heard the rig. If
Yeah.
the vocal is not hot enough, if something epic is being said and it's over top of like a bass or a drum track and strings and I ain't gonna pay attention to what you're gonna say. Uh,
Right. Right.
and that's not like,
Gotcha.
and
You know what's interesting about this, Chris, is that I listened to it in Swedish
mhm.
and then I read the lyrics. And so maybe that
That's
impacted.
probably, yeah, that is a big, I think it's a huge difference with it. Because like if I
Mm,
was doing subtitles underneath it, you know,
hmm.
at the same time, maybe.
Right.
But I'm trying to
Right.
be like,
Yeah.
I want to lock in and I want to eat. I don't want to read the ingredient list while I'm eating the dish. I just want to
No,
eat.
I gotcha. I would say I have listened to both versions now. I listened to the
Okay.
Swedish version first, then I
Just
listened to the
English.
English
I
version.
just did English. I made sure, like I made sure just to do English on both to go Apple.
Sure.
Almost like each.
No, no, it's fine. I would say if you say which one do you prefer, I actually prefer the Swedish one.
I'll
I
believe
think
that. I'll
yeah,
totally buy that. I would
yeah.
totally buy that. Like
I think the words, even though I don't understand them in Swedish, the way that
it's
the
better,
lyrics flow is better. Yeah.
and I would believe that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more of the, like I said, the mix, the fuzz in it, how forward it
Hmm.
was. So, do
Sure.
you want to go to Lovelorn?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, me
Lovelorn,
first.
You can go first, sure.
I like this one.
Okay.
I like this. I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no. I just saw at the end. I like this one as
Yeah.
well. So it was
Yeah.
the piano start. I thought was different. Like there were some
Hmm.
echoes on the vocal. I just really enjoyed the start. Kind of big, like kind of felt melodic. Drums and guitar come in. Different vocal. Like here it is again. Different vocal mix helps here. I can't stop paying attention to it. Uh,
Mm.
and this is a good thing, by the way. It sounds like the same idea with the vocals and the harmonies and the strings. I'm liking this so much more than the earlier ones.
Okay.
There's a consistency with the strings, the piano, and then like when the guitar and the bass comes in, bass mix felt a little hot here. Cool DT style solo. I was like feeling the head bob, liking this
Hmm.
solo. Vocals coming in solid, soft
All
end
right.
with the piano. I said good end to it as a bookend.
Hmm.
Start the idea, finish the idea. It's not like I'm the honor of the bell and then end with bells. It's like nope. It was kind of a good bookend.
Right.
I enjoyed this one. Like this, to this point of the album, I was like, okay, you give me everything like that. Like it's like that's what you guys can do. I was feeling this one.
Okay. All right.
That was
Awesome.
me. That was me.
Another song I loved, Chris. In fact,
Well, I was
this is
gonna say,
one
are you gonna say no on any of them?
I will. The
Okay.
this is remember I said there was a whole run of songs that I was like, I love all this. I'm in the run, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
you're in the run.
Okay. This is a song that I played for my wife, one of the two songs.
Okay.
And I said, I want you to give me your thoughts about this song.
Does she like it?
She did.
Okay. Okay.
And she goes, well, it seems sad. And I
Seems.
said, okay, so she's like, musically it sounds sad. And I'm like, I guess. So I said, why don't
Okay.
we look at the lyrics? And
Okay.
she read the lyrics and
Okay.
we talked about it. And there's a couple ways to interpret it, but I would say, I don't know exactly what he meant by it, but ultimately it's about somebody who's either gone, who's had a relationship with someone and that relationship has ended.
Okay.
And he's basically saying, even though it's ended, I'm still going to wait for you.
Oh.
That's one thing. Or the other interpretation is they never had a relationship. He's rejected and he's still saying that. So it's like, what are the two interpretations? So I actually took it as the first, the way I read the lyrics.
Okay. Like had it and then. All right.
And she said, oh, that's really sad. Right. We were having this conversation about it. And I said, yeah, I guess. But I said it in a way, it's kind of beautiful. Right. And she's like, no, it's not.
No.
And I'm like, we started talking about it, right? I
Careful.
said,
Yeah. Yeah. To our
and
listeners. Careful. Careful.
well, I said, why is it not beautiful? And she goes, because it's like, it's not happy. And I'm
Oh,
like,
it's gonna be sad. That's
that's
fine.
what I said. So we had this whole debate about
Oh God.
about how like things
Uh-huh.
that are sad can sometimes be more beautiful than happy things. And we were having this like debate, and at the end, she was like, not a debate, just a conversation, right? And she's like,
Hmm.
oh, I can see that. And she goes, and you just happen to love sad music. I said, okay. So that is kind of true. So I said, I tend to connect with music that tends to be a more emotional, even if it's happy.
Well, I was gonna
But
say just the
yeah,
emotional content of it is what you.
yeah. So anyway, long story short, love this song. Totally agree with you. I wanted to play one quick clip of that guitar solo because why not?
Oh.
I mean, okay, I can't play too much of it, but you get the idea, right? I mean, it's a pretty
That.
epic guitar solo.
Damn it.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it. All right, let's move on. Is the next one me?
Charlatan.
Charlatan. Yes. You know what? I'm gonna let you go first on this one, Chris. I'm gonna defer it a little
You're
bit.
going to defer,
I'm
really?
just curious. I'm
Oh,
very
this is going to be
curious
the I
now.
love that it's the best thing ever. I've already tattooed the lyric.
No. I don't think it's as strong as some of the other
All
ones,
right,
to be fair.
I'll just, this is what I wrote down. Like I said, real
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Locked
Okay.
in. I said, neat, heavy start, cool time with some
Yeah.
cymbals. I said, feels heavy-ish, digging it. I was like,
Yeah.
honor of God, Mary Jane, do the 6 o'clock again. I,
Right.
I said, sorry, Troy, I have to. I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
some time signature stuff, some electric keys, tight vocals, nice entrance. I was like, lower walking notes on the keys there. I was like, okay. And then some straight time. I was like, this is again hard to get the lyrics, but that walking line that like that was kind of lower. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's neat. I thought the vocal harmony was cool. Hard to
Mm-hmm.
get the lyrics with this mix. I said, Troy probably likes this one. Um, like the walking. Sorry. I said, okay, this is. I go, this when it gets the guitar doing the walk, very, very interesting style. I like this part about 2/3 through the callback to that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
digging this. Now we got the vocals back. I like this section. And then it's like, okay, child and adult conversation. Okay. Say, I'm gonna say the 6 o'clock thing a lot, Troy. I'm not gonna say it again. I said, Troy, you better
Okay.
laugh. And then
Okay.
okay, monks? Question mark. Would have
Okay.
been cooler for me if we got it earlier, unless it flows into the next track, dot, dot, dot.
I see.
It doesn't. So if we got
Okay.
the oh, if we got that like somewhere earlier than that, not full booking,
Okay.
but
Sure.
give me a little and then call it back. So I
Okay.
was feeling this one, wasn't life,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
but I heard the 6 o'clock little I don't know the somewhat distorted. You know exactly what I'm talking about, like that.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah.
They go to that. So I was feeling that. I thought that the line and then having it mirror. I thought it was kind of cool. This is a cool song. Cool song. I bet you loved it.
I did love it. I did love it. I put it this way: it's a very good song. Some of the songs I love more than this one, but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
an above average song on this album, I would say to me.
Okay.
Um, the rhythm to this one, I love. You're right about it. It's right up my alley
Yep. Yep.
rhythmically.
Yep.
It sounds like progressive metal, rock, you
I thought
know.
it was accessible. I thought it felt accessible. I liked it.
But it is true. It is accessible, but
I thought it was accessible. I
it's
liked it.
really cool. Lyrically, it's very interesting. And in fact, you're right. There is a conversation with some kids in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote that. I
And
was like, kids' conversations. Like, is this needed?
so what I'm going to do,
Oh
and
boy.
I'm actually going to present this without a comment. Okay.
You're
I'm
gonna
just
what? You're just
gonna,
gonna play it?
I'm going to read the English translation.
Okay. Of what? Of what?
Okay.
Of the
Of the
conversation.
conversation with the children. Yep.
All right.
Because it sums up the song itself. Like you don't even have to read the rest of the lyrics if you just listen to what the
Got
kids
it.
are saying, right?
Got it.
So the kids are saying, "Who is God? What is God?" That's a difficult question. I don't believe in God. Do you believe in God? No. Why should I? That's the opening to the song. Then later, later at the end, right? The lyrics, the conversation is God, God, God. Is God his name? Nah. Jesus. Is there only one God? Nah. How many are there? 30 million. Hundreds of thousands. Wow. Okay. This is literally the conversation. Okay. And then it goes, there is one in every nation. Okay. Can they speak to each other? So mind you, if you've never heard this, this is two kids having a conversation, basically. Okay. He can only fly his head here. It's in the image of the moon. People say that he watches over us from above. One died. There is no right or wrong. And then at the end, it says, the very end, it says, here we go. What do you think happens when someone dies? For the most part, well, the person just lies there in the grave, I guess. That's how the song ends. And I was reading this interpretation. This is my song. I ever think about it's awesome. So anyway, I'm like, he literally recorded. I don't know if it was his kids or not. I have no idea. But two kids having a conversation about God and what is God and what happens when you die, and then it has all this cool kind of progressive rock in it. I don't know. Big fan. So let's talk about the next one, Universal
You
Truths.
want to hear me first on Universal Truth?
Yes, and then on the next one, I'll do myself.
Okay.
Okay.
I noticed the tempo was a little, guitar and vocals with the tempos down a little bit. I was like,
Yeah.
decent start, kind
Okay.
of melodic. Okay, here's the heavy part. Singing bit comes out, hard to pick out again. Then
Hmm.
the high pitch singing. I don't know if it was like, the other vocal part in there. And I was like, I said, let it eat, not feeling this.
Okay.
Let me see
Okay.
if it gets me back. I said, I kind of feel the build, acoustic, smooth beginning, you know, oh, that's what I was going to mention. So when the singing, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to go off this and bring it back. You know how you'll get songs and you'll get like a vocal treatment and then it changes during the song? Here's an example I want to give you because I've already played it for you. Rob
Okay.
Thomas's Smooth. You know how it
Okay.
sounds like he's singing and there's like it's through a radio,
Yes.
then and
Yep.
then it opens up clear. I would have loved that kind of treatment for this song where it's like a little off and then becomes clear.
Mm.
I said something like that would have worked, and there was like a softer voice, higher with a melody. Okay, get on with it. Can I have a
Mm.
solo? Okay, there it is. That's actually what when the guitar solo came in. I was like, it's still so for me.
Hmm.
Halfway through, we bring it down to acoustic. Feels like it's trying too hard, too many ideas.
Okay.
Singing with the guitars, okay. Strings, this is a neat moment. Trying to be blues-like vocal, okay. Builds, nice moment. Could this be a new song though?
Mm.
Um, this is not a shorter one. This is what is this, 7? I mean 721, buddy. It's I
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
it's okay. I'm losing interest. Pleasant vocals, electric and acoustic guitar, building to something heavy. Hey, I like this part. Now it's back to quiet. I get the variance. Vocals hold this back for me. The performance and the mix. It's the mix basically. Do we end with acoustic guitar? We do. That's actually how I wrote. I mean,
Okay.
I'm literally just reading you. This is me like might as well
Okay.
be live tweeting. Um,
Right.
but like, back to that note, and just to hand it, but like I think I would have liked that somewhat distorted and then like a very distinct click where it sounds different. Like I said, like I pay really attention to levels, vocal levels, where it is,
Sure.
drum mix, vocal mix is big for me.
Hmm.
Especially if I'm trying to get lyrics and if I'm having trouble getting it. And this is it was at a fine level. It wasn't super low or blasting. It was a good like lock in level. It was a challenge.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. Another song that I loved,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
This is the spoiler for the next song. This was the run of seven where I was just like,
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
this is what I said in my head, not out loud. I said,
Are we gonna hit for the cycle?
I was like, could this be an S tier prog rock album? Literally,
Oh my, oh, there he goes.
that's why I was like, if every song is as good as every song I've listened to, then if it's not S tier, it's like a high A tier album, right? Either,
I
yeah,
think if you get away from this and come back to it, I don't know if it's still gonna be that high.
I see. I don't think it's S tier. I don't now, but I do think it's A tier, actually. If I had to rank it in like this style of music,
Okay.
how would I rank it?
Okay.
So, but anyway, the point is though, this song, I really like this song, and I just again, I mean, just gonna read one lyric to you.
Okay.
And this is I actually had a conversation about this with my wife tonight. The lyric in the translated to English is time heals no wounds. Several years of your life are stolen. In the light, it becomes clear that soon enough the white has yellowed.
Hmm.
One of the reasons I love that is people have this, there's this saying, right, that time heals all wounds.
Hmm.
But that's bullshit. That's total bullshit.
I know people who it doesn't matter if it's been 30 years or not.
Right.
They're still not happy about
And
something.
my wife and I were talking about this. She's like, well, if you have a wound, doesn't it heal over time? I'm like, over time, yes, but time is not what heals the wound. Okay. Like your immune system, right? Like your body is healing it. I
I
said,
saw
so like,
I
you
saw an
know,
interesting
yeah.
graphic about that where it's like does grief dissipate? Like grief dissipate over
Mm,
time? And it was
mm.
the grief doesn't go away, we just grow around it. And it was like a
Ah,
jar getting bigger. Instead of like
that,
the thing
yeah,
getting bigger in the jar, this was already big and the jar kept getting bigger. That's an interesting take. Not that it's right or wrong.
right, right. So several years of your life are stolen. What a lyric. Anyway, I just think that so and this song,
People steal my years anytime I'm in a bad meeting.
there you
That's why I don't
go.
go to them anymore.
So this song in English is called Universal Truth, and you just take those lyrics, and
But
it's
I'm
kind of
ching.
funny.
Yeah, but I'm
But
ching.
anyway, so yeah, another song I like. So we'll move to the next one, which is the Garroter.
The
So
Garretter. Number 8. This is you.
this is the first song
Okay.
where I stopped and I said, hmm.
Oh, so you had the Chris reaction. Okay.
Yeah, I said,
Okay.
all right. I wonder
Okay.
if it's going to change.
Okay. You
Because I
hope.
was hoping for a change. This makes it
Good.
Okay.
So good.
Like the one time it doesn't change that I wanted to. But anyway, okay. Things I liked about this song are I do like the waltz feel. It's like in 3/4 time, I'm pretty sure. When I was listening to it, I was like, oh, it's like a waltz, basically.
Mhm.
It reminded me actually of a ghost song called although I like the Ghost song a lot better than this one, but it's in the same feel. It's called Secular Haze. If anybody knows that song, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's in 3/4. It's like a waltz, basically. Um, but anyway, so this song is in that feel. I got to be honest with you. I listened to it a couple times. It didn't do a lot for me.
Okay.
Lyrically, though, I'll talk about it after you go, but I liked it. I pretty much liked all the lyrics to this album, but musically, it was a little bit boring to me. It didn't really do much
Okay.
for me. Yeah. What do you think about this song?
So for track 8, I even
Yeah.
wrote, I said, starts with the Sancho guitar. I'm interested. Like,
Oh, I see. Oh, yes,
so
yes, yeah, yes, it did. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Sancho. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, and now piano? Well, that's different. Now
Okay.
drums, brushes on the snare and the hi-hat. Kind of jazzy bass. WTF is happening, guys. And then I go dot dot dot. Nope, none of this fits for me.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
interested. I said,
Sure.
it's got this neat, I can hear like the cool, neat jazz guitar on top of some echoey vocals, piano, too much.
Mm.
Much. Strings, guitar is kind of neat. These ideas don't seem to fit together. I'm kind of put out on this one. I even said Opeth after dark. Snap your fingers. Left. Oh no, snap your fingers in the left channel. That's what I thought. Thought
I
somebody.
see.
I said I've checked out and waiting for this to end. Do 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 do. Nope. Please end. That's what I wrote.
Okay. All right. Well, I wouldn't know if I wouldn't be that harsh personally about it, but it just
You haven't heard
wasn't.
a harsh word from me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, if you
You, I
said
mean,
please,
seriously, how much? I told you, it's like this one doesn't fit.
okay.
It doesn't
If you,
fit the vibe of
I
anything.
see, I see. Yeah,
How much, like, how much jazz have you visibly seen me share with you?
sure,
It's like,
sure.
okay, what are you trying to do with it? No,
I'll
didn't
give it. I'll
feel
give it
right.
this, Chris.
Just didn't feel right.
I do appreciate the. I talked about this on a previous episode, actually.
What's that?
About we were doing my friend and I were doing a
Hmm.
Smashing Pumpkins tier list
Hmm.
of every Smashing
Like
Pumpkins
all of
album,
it.
every new album, everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and some of the newer albums I liked, and then there's one album I really didn't like,
Okay.
and my reaction was, I appreciate them trying this.
You got to try. You got to try stuff. No, you try
Right.
stuff. Music is cool. It's subjective, but like
Right.
people can
Right.
write it, and people could say, "Not for me."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, appreciate the effort. It's just not for me. I am sure I would almost bet any amount of money that there
Hmm.
are a lot of people who love this song, especially Opeth fans.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's a song on something I'll have you listen to later. I told you I listen to a
Yeah.
lot of Pat Metheny, and
Yeah.
there's a track. I'm not going to tell you what album, but there's a track to our listeners out there. Um, let's just say it's a march. Um, you hear it, and we used to have the biggest jokes like, "What in the wild blue yonder is this?" And it's
Right.
and you're like, "Huh?" And it's like, "All right, it's funny and it's silly," and you're like, "Okay," and now we get to it. Um,
Yeah.
but no, it's just like, does it all fit together? Yeah, like it's
Mm.
not even a palate cleanser. It's not the power ballad in the middle of like a 3 or 4 track side, like think like hard rock type,
Yeah.
from the 80s. That's what I mean. It's like, it doesn't. So enough about that. Enough about that
All
one.
right. So the next one is Continuum, Chris, and this one is yours.
Is this me?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, I thought that the drum intro was interesting.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there was one thing I mentioned, and like I said, I try to think about, where does this remind me of? So I have a recording from a band. Buddy of mine turned me on to this band called Minus the Bear, and the vocal with the mix and the style, I was like, why am I thinking of that right now? I'll play a little bit for you. I said maybe that's the filter I'm hearing it.
Mm.
Um, I said this is a decent start. I like it a lot more than the last song.
Mm.
Heavy moves in, slows, sounds good. Best start in a while for me. Bob in the head, smiley face.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay.
Okay.
So Continuum starting good. And then it's like, okay, we're good. Back to soft. Harmony. I was like, back to heavy. Okay. So it has that good feel, kind of that LT
Mm-hmm.
feel. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, and I'm just after halfway through. I wonder what they're going to do because I try to listen and I'm like, how far through are we? Because I'm like, all right. I look for that's where I'm like, are you 25% through? I'm like, I remember this. Here's
Hmm.
the thing though. Said vocal moment decent, liking this one so far. 3/4 of the way through, cool fade to black type guitar with vocals. Oh,
Yeah.
the acoustic part with the vocals. I said I like this song more than most of the others on the album.
Mm.
Footnote. Oh, the drums go right into All Things Will Pass. Only time they did this on the album. I had to rewind for a moment because everything else like had the breaks from. I was like monks next. This
Right.
one I missed the track over. I was like, this is a long oh
Right.
because think about it. I mean, like
Right.
you
Right.
got what did we got 722. I was
Yeah,
feeling it. I was feeling it, and then like here's a new idea. I'm like, you still going? Oh, it's not. So this is probably this one of the songs I like the most on the album.
I see. All right. And for me, it is a highlight. It's up there with the first few songs on the album that I
Roger
really
that.
liked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a very, very good song. I agree with everything you said.
I was feeling it.
Yeah.
That one I was feeling.
Yeah. Love it. So let's move on to the last song, which I'll go first on this one, which is All Things Will Pass.
Mhm.
Um, my take on this is, and this is the second song that I listened to with Sonia, my wife.
Okay. Okay.
So we listened to this one and we listened to the Love, Law, and Crime. Um, we listened to this song, and I'll give my review in a second. And we talked about the concept of at the end of the song, and I think it's pretty important for the review of the song, actually. At the end of the song, he talks about going back home. If everything ends, is
Mhm.
it worth to turn back home again? That's what he's repeating over and over again. So you know the phrase like there's a phrase that says you can never go back home. There's like a phrase like, and I think that phrase means, I could be wrong, but I think that phrase is saying that maybe if you go back home, it's never going to be the same. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it'll never be, no matter what. It's like the whole idea of nostalgia, right?
Dude, I literally just took pizza to my parents like tonight, and they're
Right.
still with us, but they're up there, and just
Yeah.
like we're sitting there driving in like rush hour traffic, and like so I'm in Northern Virginia for our listeners,
Yeah.
so y'all get it, and it's like I'm like, man, I remember like doing this and like like whatever 30 whatever 30 something years ago. It's like,
Sure.
all right, it's still thick. This is annoying. I remember this, man. Can you imagine when this was one lane? It's still bad. And, it's
Right.
like, wow, how about this? And they're talking about how this house now is one for this. It's like it's
Right.
crazy,
Right.
crazy seeing the old town.
Yeah.
Literally
So,
did that tonight
so it was just to me, this song, my wife totally had a totally different interpretation of this song.
of this one.
She saw it as like a positive song, and the fact that about continuing on. That's how her interpretation of it. I interpreted this song, and then I'll get to the music in a second. I interpret this song as simply questioning existence.
Okay.
Like, I'll be honest with you. Well, why not get a little bit deep? I'll get a little bit deep. All right. So, as I'm a father, right? So, my daughter's 3.5. For those who don't know, who might be new to this channel, or don't know me. So all of my focus in life is how do I raise a successful child? Basically, when you have a kid, you're just thinking like, how do I not screw this person up? How do how do I set them up for success? How do I make sure that I've made enough money so they don't struggle like when you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of just heavy focus like, and what happens is, and I'm thinking about this like out loud, maybe the best times of my life are right now.
Possible.
You know what I mean? So like it made me think about like listening to this song, it made me think about, well, when I'm older, because I'm 44, in 20 years, right? My daughter's going to be 23 and I'll be 64. She'll be out of the house, right? And that whole idea about, well, home is relative, right? Home could mean where you grew up, but home could, there's that phrase like home was where the heart is, right? And basically, as long as I'm with my family, like my wife and my daughter, that is home. And so maybe right now is home, and like in the future, that's going to be gone. This is a depressing thought, but there's this kind of it's depressing, but it's also realistic because the whole concept from the other song is about time passing, right?
Mhm, mhm.
It's like that's going to happen, and it might seem like it's the years are stolen from you, you know? So I think what Sony was saying was the positive of that she got out of this song was just basically saying all things will pass. So why don't you really enjoy what you have now because you can't go back home, you know? Like enjoy the moment, enjoy the life you have. So that's what she read it as, not so much as a depressing song.
Okay.
And I thought that was a very cool interpretation of the song. So lyrically, love the song.
Okay.
Musically, I'll get to that. Love the song. Okay. At first, it reminded me a little bit of how should I put it? It doesn't sound like a Pink Floyd song per se, but
Okay.
you know how Pink Floyd will have these long passages of like similar kind of
Absolutely.
a slow build. You know what I mean?
Slow build. Yep.
Yes,
Yep. Yep.
and the song reminded me of that. And then when it builds at the very end, it has this repetition about going back home, and that's like a really beautiful melody, and it repeats and things like that. Speaking of ghosts, it actually reminds me of. I think this is a Swedish trick. A lot of Swedish bands, especially pop music that comes from Sweden, once they
Mhm.
have a really good hook at the end, they repeat it a bunch of times typically. And Ghost does that, and this is an example of that. So anyway, my review of the song, loved it, fantastic. Again, the only song I really didn't like on this record is The Garroter. So there you go. That's my review. What about you, Chris, of
And
this
this
song?
is not Gerder. This is all things.
All things will pass.
Okay.
Yep.
What I wrote down, I said drum march going right in this song. Wondering if
Hmm.
it was a dude, can we have a song that long?
Yeah.
So see what's up with this one. I said
Right.
interesting, haunting guitar stuff, some piano. Now a heavy part. This is kind of neat. Into the midpoint, straight time. Dut 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 dut. Should we meet again? This is okay.
Hmm.
Not awful, not amazing. Not holding.
Okay.
I'm checked
Uh,
out. Don't know if it's tempo or the time starting to wind down. This one was fine.
okay. Fair enough. You know what?
That's kind of where I was with this one.
Sometimes things are just gonna be fine too, you know?
And
So
and fine is, and the thing is, but
right.
not like fine in quotes, but just like okay, this is okay.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
if you have dinner and like it's the most amazing dinner in the world, and you have like an affogato, and it's like okay at the end, you're like, oh, it's all right. That doesn't mean it was bad. It was like, oh, it's
Right.
fine. Like, oh, this is the worst. I've been thrown out of worse places than this. Um, you know, but that's yeah, the last one, the last hit. And I did like I said, it rolled into it. I said, okay, stop, started it over, locked in hard because I was like, I know this is the last one, and just didn't keep me.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. This is one obviously I liked it. This is one my wife actually really liked.
Mhm.
And it spawned that conversation too, which I think she kind of liked talking through that stuff with me. So yeah, point is, sounds like Chris, you have probably a mixed review of the album. Would you say that's fair?
I would say, I mean, it was solid.
Okay.
Mixed is probably good, but like kind of like with food, like how I'm like that's okay, and it's like you probably should go eat that.
Right.
I
Right,
enjoyed
sure.
it. I didn't feel it was a waste of my time, and I wasn't insulted or anything. I was
Okay.
bobbing the head a bunch of times. Um, I would maybe sample a few more songs off of it. Uh,
Okay.
Soup to Nuts, it wasn't mind bending. I know it was rated very very highly. Um, and that's cool that it speaks to people like that. But like I think you can
Hmm.
find that with a lot of things. But I mean, that's like
Sure.
as you'll as we've talked about, in like the music world, what I find is interesting is and mixing with like the audiophile type world.
Hmm.
The quote I've shared with you is people will find records and they use the musician's art to listen to their gear. Like they're using the music to experience their equipment as opposed to experiencing the music. I want to experience
Okay.
music, but
Sure.
I just have the gear that lets me to do that.
Hmm.
And so like somebody might be like, "Oh my god, this is like mind blowing," and it might be what they needed at like that time, or it's like it's
Mm.
in their wheelhouse. And like this is the genre I listen. I know this is like your meat. Um,
Right.
there's other albums if you're like on this shelf, you know, it wouldn't be the first one I grab, but it's like, oh, it's okay, cool, rocking and rolling. I was working to it. It's like, all right, it's fine. Um,
Okay.
yeah, some songs I
Fair
really
enough.
enjoyed. Some I was like, it's not keeping me.
Okay, fair enough. I think I pretty much gave my review. I gave it an A tier in this genre. I liked 9 out of 10 songs, and some of the songs I really loved. So when I said I was pleasantly surprised, I kind of was going into thinking I was going to like it to some level,
Uh-huh.
but I liked it more than I thought I was going to. That's what I meant by pleasantly surprised.
Okay, okay,
And the
okay.
reason for that is because I bought their most recent album, the one that came out after this one,
Uh-huh.
on vinyl, and I listened to it, and I really didn't like that album. So I was a little bit like, well, I didn't really like the most recent one, but I said, I just want to listen to this one because I liked some of the older Opeth albums. So maybe the new one just doesn't connect with me for some reason.
Hmm.
And this one I was pleasantly surprised. So there you go. All right, Chris. Well, thank you so much. So
Thank you,
another
buddy.
episode for Music and Words Unite. If you like this episode, feel free to give it a like. Subscribe if you like this kind of content. We try to go in depth on things. As you saw, we take notes, we break things down, and we're not always just, glazing everything. Sometimes people just like, what's the point of watching a channel where everyone's only going to say positive things about everything? Because there's a lot of channels out there. So you want to get different people's opinions, and usually, you'll find someone that you agree with or don't agree with on the channel. So anyway, that's all for today. Chris and I have another episode coming out, and that one is going to be about a Matthew Sweet album called Girlfriend, which is quite a bit different than this record. So if you want to listen to us talk about something very different, tune into that one. All right. So, all right, but I'll see you later.